Well, welcome to this live stream today on my travels and what I've been getting up to. My name is Victoria Rose, and that's what I do. I share my travels with you. I share the good, the bad, and in this live stream, I am going to share the ugly. And to start my live stream off today, I'd like to heart you all because the world needs more heart. And it's been incredible to spend time with the Italians in that little mountain village in Tramatola and to then go to Opatia and have a look around the Croatian landscape until the day that I accepted a workaway experience in JOSPIDOL. I still have a little think about how should I be saying that. Now, today I won't be answering any questions or welcoming you to my live stream until the end. And the reason why is, thank you for the heart. And the reason why is there is so much involved. So much involved with the story that I want to share with you. I appreciate and value your time. I want to get to the bones of this experience and let you decide for yourself whether workaway is something that you can do, and when you see the mistakes that I've made, you can possibly have a better experience, because my motto is, as a matter of fact, I've got a few. There is no use by date. Live before you die. The tragedy of death is not that you die. It's that you haven't lived before you died, before your death. So why am I making this video? Because of the complexity of what I'm about to share with you. I normally just have 3 bullet points because I know my stuff and I can talk around those dot points. This time it would be so easy to go off into way too much detail, and so I have made notes and I will be looking at those notes to keep me on track. And I thought the most important thing first was for me to share with you, why am I making this video? Can you believe it? I've got to look at my notes already. Okay, because life is made up of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I don't believe in wearing rose-colored glasses. If we can't recognize that something, a situation, an environment that we're in isn't for our safety, for our health, whether that's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever that health is, we need to be able to recognize that we're in that environment and we have to change it. Now, that does not mean that from then onwards and forevermore you play the victim and you tell that story in a way where you're not taking responsibility for the part that you played in that, because there's no doubt that for all of those experiences that we've had in our life that we might be able to call ugly, then we have to look at, well, what part did I play in that? And I also want to share with you that I have also discovered that it's the ugly that has made me stronger and just that little bit wiser. So the second reason why I'm doing this broadcast is There are always three things. Have you noticed that? Hey, Sandy. Oops, I wasn't going to. But I will. Hi, Marianne. Hi, Sandy. How are you guys? Thank you for joining me and for making a comment. The second reason why I'm doing this video is for authenticity. Life is the good, the bad, and the ugly. And wherever your home is, in whichever country, there's always a friend that's overseas and they're having such a fabulous time. They're traveling through Europe. I look at their fabulous photos of Macedonia, of Italy, of Bali, or wherever it is. There's America. There's some fabulous places around the world. All we get to see are those curated photos, mostly. I curate all my photos. I make sure that the photos that I post are what I see as the authentic essence of the place that I'm visiting. Now, what that means is that you guys just get to see all the fabulous things, and there's nothing wrong with seeing all the fabulous things. Life isn't like that, though. We're all having our own version of ugly. Have you realized that sometimes things don't come to me until in that exact moment? So the first one is because life is made up of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and let's take off those rose-colored glasses. The second point is authenticity. Now, the third point is I want to talk about Workaway and how fabulous I think Workaway is. I think it's fabulous because it enables people of all ages to travel all around the world and help people who are wanting to build eco farms, or they've got really fabulous plans and ideas. Perhaps they've got an eco-tourism hostel hidden away in Montenegro, or any number of reasons why a group of people or a person may put their listing on Workaway. So before we go any further, and to help you have an understanding of how Workaway works and how come I got led into this ugly, is so anyone can list on Workaway. It is up to the volunteers, i.e. the Workaways, to make contact with that listing and just check that everything's okay, make their own inquiries. So the commitment is that you will work up to 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. And in exchange for that, you will receive accommodation and food. Now, there are different ideas around that, and you clear that up. The great thing about doing Workaways is that you are with people who live in that country. You get to understand their culture, and if you've been following me for a bit, and you can do that by clicking the hashtag Travel with Victoria Rose, you'll know that one of the things I really love is understanding, seeing, observing, and seeing how people live in different cultures. So that's the reason why, the third reason that I'm doing this live stream today. So I said, by the way, Workaway is not the only one. There are at least a couple of others out there. Today, I'm only going to talk about Workaway because that's my experience. So here are the three things. Remember, there's always three things that I'm going to cover in this live stream to explain what happened with my version of ugly. So why I chose this Workaway, what actually happened, and the third thing I'm going to cover is what are my next steps. So the first thing is, why did I choose this Workaway? And it's really important to know what is it about that Workaway that's appealing to you, because when you know what's important to you, they're the questions that you can ask the hosts when you email them, preferably video chat with them, as I'll discuss. So the two things that stood out to me straight away was I love organic stuff. And here we are, this young couple who, by the way, are not Croatian, they're American. This young couple who are working on they're starting up an organic farm in country Croatia, and they're both chefs. I mean, hello, I thought that was a dream come true. I was required to do pet care, to nurse the baby for an hour or two. Why? the host wife actually works. So here's what happened. I contacted them and I said, yeah, I'd love to see a different part of Croatia, and I've been on the seaside. I'd like to see the countryside. So what happened was I offered a video chat and the host did not take up that offer. They just said, nah, it's a handshake. We're good to go. That was my first mistake. From now on, I will never ever take on anything, especially a workaway, if the hosts are not prepared to have a video chat. We can do that on Messenger. It doesn't cost anyone anything, or WhatsApp. And so that wasn't something that actually happened. Here was the other red flag that I didn't really take notice of. There was only one review, and it was a 4-star review. If you were to look at the workaway.info website, you will notice that hosts can have a lot of reviews, and a lot of those reviews are 5 stars, which means excellent. And then there's all these words that actually let you know why that particular workaway is excellent. And this only had one review, and it was good, 4 stars. Second mistake I made was not to contact that reviewer, because as a workaway volunteer, you have every right to follow up and to send an email to other workaways who have left reviews. I should have done that because I got a sense that there was something, I mean, I can say that now, I don't know if I really got it in the beginning, that there was something to be read between the lines. Anyway, I didn't do that. Second mistake. So there we are. I'm set to move to Jodpidsol. I'll get it right one day. And then I discovered that so there are 2 adults and 1 baby living at the host's place. The husband needs to go to America for 1 month. So there I am. I've been offered to be picked up, and I'm going to be driven up to the host's home, and then they're leaving. The 2 adults and the baby are leaving, and the wife is returning 2 nights later. So there they are. They're going to leave. Hi, Bonnie. They're going to leave a complete stranger in their home to look after their beloved pets, 2 dogs and a kitten. Now, I sort of kind of thought, well, that's a bit weird, as someone I know very well says, who does that? Well, apparently these people did, and apparently I still thought it was okay, even though I thought, that's interesting. How do they know I'm not some horrible person? Oh, look, my profile that's written up with Workaway must be really warm and give them a lot of feelings of trust. So then let's go to what actually happened. So what happened? So we've done the first bit, why I chose this Workaway. The second point is what happened. The husband came to pick me up, and I got the first smell that something wasn't quite right when I got into the car with him. He had a really bad case of body odor, and I knew I had a 2-hour trip ahead of me. And I'm thinking, how can someone have such a bad case of body odor but not realize they have? And, you know, I can say things like, oh, by the way, your deodorant stopped working. But I was kind of a little bit uncomfortable to say that in this environment. So I didn't say that. Little did I know that there was a much greater danger lurking in that 2-hour trip. The host husband coughed a lot. You know, that hacking cough that you can almost feel it in your throat. And there were a couple of times and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he's not putting his hand over his mouth and he's just coughing this horrible cough. No, it's going to be okay. Well, it wasn't going to be okay, because little did I know that at that time something started. Now, most of you will know that I'm incredibly well. I can't even remember the last time I got sick. I do have one susceptibility though, and that is stuff to do with my throat. Now I know what Louise Hayes and everyone else says, but that's okay. I use my throat a lot. So we arrived at the host's home. This is where I'm now going to share some photos with you, and I'll talk through the photos as I'm sharing them. Now, I've just learnt a new trick with Ecamm Live. I think this is quite cool. Let's see how we go. So there we are. So we're driving up now. So this was a photo taken just after the host left. I walked back up the driveway and took this first photo to show you guys. So this is the home. The hosts live in 2 rooms on the ground floor, it's just that concrete part that's actually which is partially below ground. My accommodation is on that first level. See those outside stairs and that door, and see all those gaping holes? That's my accommodation, but more on that very soon. So we drove up, and the yard was very messy. So I'm going, oh my gosh, okay, this isn't my idea of a couple that are starting an organic farm and who are chefs. And here's why I continued to think that. So what then happened was we actually, let's have a look. I then walked around to the entrance, which is at the back, and this is what I saw. Lucky for you, you cannot smell this. This smelt disgusting. See that garage there at the side? In that garage at the side, there are 2, they describe them as goofy, but they're certainly feisty dogs, let's put it that way, and they're locked up a lot in that garage. So this is what I first saw, and I'm going, oh my gosh, they know I'm coming, they know they're leaving, and this is the entrance, and that smell, and it smelled like that because of the rubbish that was left there. Let's now have a look at the next one. So then I walked into the kitchen, and this is what the kitchen of 2 chefs, supposedly, and I do believe they are. There are other factors here, but this is what the kitchen first looked like when I walked in, and the smell. And then we had another view to the kitchen. There were dishes there that had been there since their son's first birthday party, which was over a week ago. There was some chocolate mixture, it stank. The host's wife said, open the fridge door, which smelt. And she said, just eat anything you want. And then their friends came, they jumped in the car, and they disappeared. I was in shock. I have to tell you, I was in shock. As she left, she said to me, all you'll have to do until I come back on Friday is pet care. Look after, you can't have the kitten out when the dogs are out, so you'll have to be careful there because the black dog will kill the kitten. I thought, charming. So the first thing I had to do, because now my children will tell you I'm not a fusspot. They'll laughingly tell you that, but I'm also not filthy. Oh, by the way, I'd better tell you what my accommodation looked like when I first walked up. This is all the junk that the hosts just pile into one part of it. See that massive window on this side? There's rubble, there's tools, it's a rough floor, and that's my bed. And I had said I would stay for 1 month if mutually agreeable. That's one thing I did right, I did do that right, to add those very important 3 words at the end. So they left, as I said, and I'm left in shock, and I'm thinking, crikey, I can't leave. I have to stay. There are these doggies here, 2 dogs, 1 kitten, and they have to be fed, and oh my gosh. Now, you know I have military experience. I was an Army reservist for 23 years, did my 100 days every year, can sleep out bush in a hoochie. This is very different. I knew there'd be holes in the wall on one side, but what I didn't know was that there were gaping holes in the wall on the other side as well. So the cold wind sweeping through, there was no protection offered from that. So I had to get cracking. So as soon as I left, I had to clean up the entrance. And here is the entrance. After I've done the best that I can, swept it, got rid of all the rubbish, done quite a bit of work, at least it no longer smelt, and at least I could now step into that filthy kitchen without already being sick before I actually noticed the kitchen. So here's what I did. This is just one part of the kitchen. Took a lot of work to get it to this, and a lot of stuff was thrown away. And here's just a second photo that I'm so glad that I took these photos, because it really shows the difference. So this took hours and hours of work. Also, even though I was told I could eat anything in the fridge, when I actually went to eat something from the fridge, again, as I've already mentioned, there was a smell, and I did take out the potato salad to eat, and it was only until I was about to eat the second mouthful that I noticed the mold. So I went, threw the potato salad away, had a look at the other stuff that was there, mold, 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 the whole thing. So I did get to eat some seafood chowder because it was covered. It was extra salty, but I still ate it. So let me show you now what I did with the accommodation, because I couldn't live in that accommodation the way it was. So after the first night of sleeping with nothing up against one of the holes in the wall, I got the see-through plastic and arranged a sort of a semi-window. I turned the bed around. I went and scrabbled around and found some other bits and pieces, went and bought some fresh fruit. In this accommodation, the only light I had was a very small 25-watt globe. So hopeless at night, I could not do any work at night. But the best bit is yet to come. Here's my office. And this was it. Notice the rubble. Notice this big gaping hole on this side. And so I just set my computer up there and did my best to do some work there. It wasn't easy to do, but I had to survive. I could not leave until the host's wife came back on Friday night. And now prepare yourself for this. The toilet facilities are only on the ground floor, and to get to them, you have to go through the host's bedroom. And even though the host told me she was an insomniac, I wasn't. They have a little 1-year-old baby. I was not comfortable. I drink so much water. Probably too much information, guys, but I do need to use the toilet once and sometimes twice in the night. And there was no way. It was so cold here that I was going to get out of bed, go down those outside stairs, and then disturb them as I go through, do my business, which they'll be able to hear, which is, I don't know, strangely a little bit awkward, and then disturb them again as they go back upstairs. That wasn't going to happen. So you know what's coming, don't you? Yes, here's my ensuite. So I went and bought myself a blue basin, which I used in the morning to wash my face. And that water I used to clean my teeth. There's my bicarbonate of soda and my electric toothbrush there, and my little made up hand stand. And then over is the white bucket, which I found and cleaned, and that's my pea pot. So that was my ensuite. So they're the conditions that I had to survive in. And even though I diminished that cold wind sweeping through, I have to tell you that it was still a difficult environment to be in. And because I finally joined the dots and I picked up the bug that the husband had, I started to not feel well. And every morning that I was there, when I woke up, my voice was huskier. I felt really bad. I felt sicker every day, and I don't get sick. I was just devastated. Okay, let me take you back to me. So I felt stuck. What to do? So I couldn't leave before the host wife came back, and she did come back at 6:30 on the Friday night. Now by this time I had decided, look, I actually felt sorry for her. She's in her early 30s. I don't know why I did, but she's in her early 30s. Well, perhaps this is why. She's in her early 30s. She's got a 1-year-old child. It was a very difficult birth, and she can't drive. This place is isolated in as much as there's just no little walk down to the corner shop. It's a good 20-25 minute walk to the shops. She is not a fit and healthy young woman, and I'm just don't think she'd ever do it. But then she can't drive. So I thought, oh my gosh, okay. I thought what I'm going to do is stay here and just see this filthy environment that I walked into. Is this them? Or was it a result of circumstances that built up, even though there were 2 adults in the house? There's one little 1-year-old. The place was filthy. So what was it that caused them to not be able to live in a clean environment, or cleaner, especially for 2 chefs? So I thought that I would just give it time. Oh, and by the way, as far as thinking, oh, I'm going to be cooked by 2 chefs, the first meal was Saturday night, and that was tacos. And then on Sunday was the second meal, and that was soup made over from the leftover tacos. So it's not exactly chef affair. The fact that I was getting sicker every day was not only a concern to me, it was a concern to my children as well. I wish I'd taken a photo of my worst look. My daughter saw that though and became quite alarmed. And on that Sunday night, the mozzies were really, really bad. Now, here's the question. Why did I feel unsafe? To answer that, I can let you know that the host's wife shared with me stories about her family, stories about the people in her life that had done wrong by her, and also she shared with me about her mother, which was a bit scary. But she said all of these things in that sort of monotone voice. I initially thought, does she have postnatal depression? And, perhaps in the end she did. I never asked her because I actually didn't get much chance to get a word in because there was lots of chatter focused on self and focused on her life. She only ever asked me 2 questions. So when you're lying in bed at 2 a.m. in the morning and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've been here for 4 days and it's not been fun. It's been a lot of giving and there's been no receiving. So here's the learning for a baby boomer. We often are very good at giving. Not everyone might agree with that, but anyway, as a trend, but we're not that good at receiving. So here's me thinking, hang on, this is all going up, but I'm actually getting nothing coming in. And what I noticed was that she was starting to use me. So she'd be in bed till 12 noon. This happened on Saturday. And I said, have you let the dogs out? And she said, oh, no. I said, gee, well, they've been in there since lunchtime yesterday, and I haven't fed them because I'd let her know that I wouldn't take the dogs for a walk because they might have been goofy, but they also know how to fight. And it was a bit scary. So I said, oh, well, she said, the baby started to cry. And so somehow I just never got, I want to stay with the baby because he's sick. And I somehow never got to let the dogs out. And I went, oh, golly gosh. So I went and let the dogs out, made sure the kitten was safe so the dogs wouldn't eat it was very stressful. But so why did I feel unsafe? So when you're lying in bed at 2 a.m. in the morning, your mind can play tricks on you. And I was recalling some of the actual stories that she told me. And even though I can look at that now and think, oh, you were a bit silly. But the truth is, it's how I felt in that time, in that environment. It's okay for me now. I'm clean. I've got some lippy on. I've been able to wash my hair, been able to eat some decent food, have some decent sleep, being able to go to the loo, into a proper toilet, and so much more. That it's easy to look at that and think, well, you're a bit silly. Actually, I'm not. How we feel in that moment, there's a reason for it. So I decided that I actually didn't trust her reaction when I said I was going. I just didn't. So the way I did it was this way. I packed my bags on the Sunday night and got up in the morning, tidied everything up, emptied the pea pot. I know, too much information. And I went into her and I said, I've come to say goodbye. At least I didn't just leave. As I've already said, so many workaways cut short. Well, one group of workaway cut short their stint. Another one only stayed for 1 day. And so many others didn't even bother turning up when they said they would. And I'm suspecting that's probably because they did the clever thing that I didn't do, which was to send a message to the one review and say, okay, now tell us what really happened. And so I figured, okay, I just need to leave. I said goodbye and I turned around and I said, one thing I suggest you do is to fix up the listing you've got on Workaway, because it's not a truthful representation of what you offer here. And then I left. I can't tell you guys how relieved I felt. By the way, I had to let my children know that I was safely out the door. All the joys of trying different things. So that is the second part of what happened. Here's the third part. And the third part is, what next? I've spent the last 2 days in Zagreb. It's fabulous. It's a stunning city. Honestly, if you ever get a chance to come to Croatia, I totally recommend that you do that. It's just a delightful surprise. Tomorrow, I'm jumping on a Flixbus. I really like Flixbus. And I'm traveling down to a place, just a little village, a coastal village, back to the seaside. A coastal village just outside of Split. Now, I've wanted to see Split. I'm just opposite the island of Brac. I want to see Brac, and also Dubrovnik is not that far away as well. I am going to be there for 3 weeks because I am booked in Turkey after that. And just to see, one of the things that I've done or want to do when I'm here is share with you guys about how the cost of living is here. You can live here more cheaply than what you can live in Australia. Probably you won't be too surprised to hear that. I'll just talk about the rent. So for me to live in this fabulous apartment with ocean views is going to cost me 224 Australian dollars per week. Now, there's no way I could get an apartment in Melbourne for that price, regardless of the season. So there you have it. I feel like I need to give you more heart. I've learnt a lot from this, because the first thing daughters say, isn't it? My son was thinking it. He would have said it next was, "Well, Mum, what have you learnt from this?" Well, what I have learnt is to have that video chat, to get in contact with some of the other reviewers if I can't see 30 or whatever excellent reviews. Just have a personal chat with them and say, okay, tell me the goss. And to also notice, what was it about this workaway experience that really drew me? And just think of 2 or 3 things. I've said 2 things: the fact that it was an organic farm and that they were chefs. So you can ask them questions about that when you have that video chat. Oh, my glasses are on crooked. Okay, guys, so what next? My name is Victoria Rose, and I am hearting you. I'm continuing my journey and sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly, and encouraging you to step outside that comfort zone, because often what we deem as a comfort zone has turned into an uncomfortable zone. So take off those rose-colored glasses, and it's better to experience fear for a few or a very short period of time than be lying on your deathbed with those regrets. So I'm alive, I'm well, and I'm still a dag. And thank you for spending time with me today. I hope that this live stream is useful to you and will encourage you to have a look at your life and say, okay, I want to live before I die. Now you might think, oh, come on, Victoria, I'm living. Well, good. Bravo you. I know that so many, whether they're men or women, aren't. And doesn't mean to say you have to travel overseas, but it does mean to say you have a look at your life and go, okay, am I happy? Is this how I want to live the rest of my life? Hi, how are you, Lee? Thank you, guys. That's it. I'm finished. And thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to the replay viewers. I know it's a bit of a longer broadcast. Trust me, I edited it down. Thank you again, and I'll be back next Thursday. Bye.